The first time my sister asked me to help, she said it like it was a compliment. "Jess, you're the steady one," she told me over the kitchen island in our mother's house, nails tapping her phone screen. "You're good with money. You don't even like spending it. That's why this works." She smiled when she said works, like she'd already decided the outcome. I was rinsing a mug, watching the water turn the coffee ring into a brown spiral. I didn't correct her. I didn't explain that I liked spending money fine. I just liked not panicking more. My sister, Marin, lived for the opposite. She was 3 years older, loud in a way that filled rooms and made people laugh even when the joke wasn't good. Her Instagram looked like a travel magazine. She always had a new plan, a new boyfriend, a new opportunity. She called it momentum. Our mother called it Marin being Marin. What it really meant was that Marin had a talent for turning other people's stability into her safety net. I'd gotten a late promotion at my job, operations manager at a mid-sized medical supply distributor outside Phoenix. It wasn't glamorous. It was steady and clean. My work was numbers, inventory, vendors, schedules, compliance. If something went wrong, I fixed it quietly before anyone above me noticed. Marin saw the promotion announcement on LinkedIn and took me to dinner the same week. She chose a rooftop place with white chairs and dim lighting that made everything look more expensive than it was. She posted our appetizers before we ate them. Halfway through, she slid a folder across the table like she was closing a deal. "I'm starting something," she said. I looked at the folder but didn't open it. "What kind of something?" She leaned in. Her perfume was sharp and sweet. Short-term rental management, but elevated. Not like those messy hosts. "I've got the aesthetic, Jess. I've got the network. People are asking me for this." "People," I repeated, neutral. She laughed. "Okay, fine. One person. But she's a realtor. She knows investors." This is a real pipeline. I finally opened the folder. A printed outline, a few screenshots of listings, a spreadsheet that looked like it had been made that afternoon. At the bottom was a section labeled Startup Capital, $120,000. I closed it. Marin didn't flinch. "Before you do the thing where you tell me it's risky, I'm not asking for a loan." "What are you asking for?" I said. "A joint account." She said it quickly, like it would sound normal if she didn't pause, just to park the funds. Investors like seeing it clean. There's one account, 2 names. It signals legitimacy. And you have a reputation for being responsible. I took a sip of water. The ice clinked. "So, you want me on an account holding investor money?" "Not holding." She tilted her head. "Partnered." "I'm not managing rentals. You won't have to. It's just structure." Structure. A word she used when she wanted my anxiety to do the work of her planning. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I asked questions instead. Who's investors? What contracts? What bank? How does the money move? What's my liability? Marin answered like she was narrating a video. Small group. Mostly women. They trust me. Contracts are standard. The bank is whatever. We'll keep it simple. And your liability is literally 0 because I'm doing all the work. I watched her smile into her phone as she took a video of the city lights behind me. That was the first time I understood something important. Marin wasn't asking for my help because she trusted me. She was using me because other people trusted me. I told her I'd think about it. She rolled her eyes for the camera. "Jess is being Jess," she said, half joking, half warning, like my caution was a quirky personality trait. By the end of that month, I still hadn't agreed. Marin didn't push harder. She didn't have to. My mother did. We were at Sunday dinner, the kind that kept happening out of habit even though everyone pretended they were too busy. My mother ladled rice like she was feeding a small army and asked about my big promotion, loud enough for our aunt to hear. Marin sat across from me, face glowing from whatever filter she'd used that day. Every few minutes she'd glance at her phone and smile at a notification like it was applause. Halfway through dinner, my mother said, "Marin tells me you won't support her business." She said it casually, like she was asking why I hadn't tried the salad dressing. I didn't look up from my plate. I didn't say that. You're her sister, my mother continued. You're supposed to want her to succeed. Maren gave a small, practiced sigh. It's fine. Jess likes to be careful. Our aunt laughed. She's the smart one. Always has been. Maren's smile tightened. Right? The smart one. Must be nice. That's how it always went. Compliment turned into a barb, then a joke, then an expectation. If I defended myself, I'd be sensitive. If I stayed quiet, the narrative became fact. I set my fork down, calm. I asked Maren for more details. I'm still waiting. Maren leaned back. Details. You want a 30-page report to help your sister? I want to understand what I'm attaching my name to. My mother's tone sharpened. Your name. Your name. Everything is about your name. Maren laughed, lifting her glass. Cheers to Jess's name. They all laughed with her, like it was harmless. I didn't. I watched the way Maren's eyes didn't laugh, only her mouth. The way her phone camera angled toward the table, capturing a perfect family moment she could post later with some caption about gratitude and blessings. That night, I drove home and sat in my car for a full minute before turning off the engine. The dashboard clock glowed 8:47 p.m. I stared at it like a line I could cross or not. Then I did something I didn't tell anyone about. I opened my laptop and made a folder. Maren, account proposal inside it. I saved the screenshots she'd shown me. I typed out what I remembered from our dinner conversation. Dates, amounts, names she'd mentioned. I didn't call it evidence. I called it notes, because in my mind I still wanted to believe it wouldn't get ugly. 2 days later, Maren texted me a photo of paperwork with a bank logo at the top. Look, easy. Just sign, and we can open it. I read the fine print. Joint account. 2 owners, equal access. No requirement for dual authorization, no spending limits, no restrictions on transfers. It wasn't structure. It was a loaded door left unlocked. I called her instead of texting back. Why is there no 2-signature requirement? I asked. She sighed into the phone like I was wasting oxygen. Because banks don't do that easily, Jess. They do, if you ask. It's not a trust issue. It's speed. I need to move fast. I'm not comfortable with equal access, I said. If my name is on it, there need to be controls. Maren went quiet for a beat, then sweetened her voice. Okay, we'll do controls. Happy? I waited. What controls, specifically? Jess, she said, and I could hear the smile. You're doing it again. I'm asking a normal question. You're making this feel like I'm some criminal. I didn't say that. But you're acting like it. There it was, the pivot. I was the problem, not the account terms. Not the risk, not the lack of oversight. My caution was the offense. I kept my voice level. Email me the business plan and a breakdown of projected expenses and the names of the investors. Maren laughed, short. You want their names? Yes. For what? So I understand who's putting money in an account with my name on it. She exhaled dramatically. Fine, I'll send it. She didn't send it. Instead, my mother called the next day. You're humiliating your sister, she said. I'm not humiliating anyone, I replied. I asked for information. Information? She mocked softly. Jess, this is why you're alone half the time. You treat family like a transaction. I let the words sit for a second before responding. It is a transaction if it involves money. Silence. Then her breath pulled in like she was offended by the concept. She's trying to build something, my mother said. She's trying. You could at least believe in her. I didn't argue. I didn't explain that belief and accountability were not opposites. I didn't remind my mother of the times Maren borrowed money just for a week and paid it back months later with a gift bag and a joke. I didn't bring up the credit card she'd opened in college and quietly maxed out that my father had paid off before he left. I simply said, I'm not saying no. I'm saying not yet. My mother hung up like I'd slapped her. 2 weeks passed. Maren went quiet, which meant she was either sulking or busy. Then she posted a story from a hotel suite. White curtains, a skyline view, a champagne flute held in front of the window. Over it, she wrote, "Big things coming. God is so good." Underneath, her tagged location read, Las Vegas, Nevada. I watched it once, then again. Not because I cared about the view, but because I noticed something behind the champagne. A folder on the desk. A familiar bank logo. The same one from the paperwork she texted me. I didn't message her. I didn't react. I didn't ask what she was doing in Vegas when she'd told everyone she was meeting investors in Scottsdale. I opened my laptop. I added a new note to the folder. December 3rd, Marin in Vegas. Bank. Paperwork visible in IG story. I took a screenshot of the story before it disappeared. Then I did something else. I called the bank. I didn't accuse anyone. I didn't demand access. I asked a simple question as someone considering opening a joint account. What are the options for dual authorization? Spending limits? Alerts? Transfer restrictions? The representative answered patiently. Yes, there were options. Yes, they could configure alerts. Yes, there were ways to require approvals depending on the account type. I wrote it all down. That evening, Marin finally texted me again like nothing had happened. I'm about to make a big move. Need you on the account tomorrow. Don't be weird. I stared at the message. The words "don't be weird" sat there like a leash. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I could have replied with a hard no. I could have told her I saw the bank paperwork in the Vegas story. I could have asked why she was there. I could have demanded a meeting. Instead, I typed, "Tomorrow works. Send me the branch address and time." Then I turned my phone face down and sat quietly at my kitchen table, listening to the refrigerator hum. I didn't feel angry. Not yet. I felt something else, clearer. Marin thought getting my name on that account would make her look legitimate. She didn't realize it would make her trackable. And the next morning, as I pulled up to the bank and saw her car already parked crooked across 2 spaces, I made a decision I didn't say out loud. I would sign nothing I couldn't control, but I would let her believe I was about to. Marin hugged me like we were celebrating something. She smelled like citrus and smoke, hair perfectly smooth, sunglasses pushed up on her head even though we were indoors. The bank lobby was quiet. All neutral colors and soft music meant to calm people who were about to make decisions they didn't fully understand. She waved at the receptionist like she belonged there. "See?" she said under her breath as we waited. "Easy. I told you." I nodded once and didn't smile. The banker brought us into a glass-walled office. Marin took the seat closest to him, crossing her legs, phone already face down on the desk like she was restraining herself from filming. "I'll just need your IDs," he said. I slid mine over. Marin did the same, tapping her nails while he typed. "This will be a joint checking account," she said brightly, before he could ask. "We're business partners." The banker looked at me. "Is that correct?" "Yes," I said. "With conditions." Marin's head turned sharply. "Conditions?" I met her eyes calmly. "We discussed controls. I want transaction alerts, daily spending caps, and dual authorization for transfers above $25,000. The banker nodded. "That's all doable." Marin laughed like he'd told a joke. "That's a lot." "It's appropriate," I said. She waved a hand. "We don't need all that. This is just temporary." The banker paused, fingers hovering. "I need agreement from both parties. Bad by this hour." But Nola wasn't reaching for her iPad. Jess, she said lightly, "You're making this harder than it needs to be." I didn't respond to her tone. I spoke to the banker. "Those are my terms." There was a moment where Marin could have pushed harder. She could have refused and walked. Instead, she exhaled, leaned back, and shrugged. "Fine," she said. "If it makes you feel better." The paperwork took 20 minutes. I read every page. Marin scrolled on her phone, bored, occasionally making faces at me like I was a substitute teacher enforcing rules. When it was done, the banker slid a temporary debit card across the desk. He handed it to Marin. "For now," he said. "Permanent cards will be mailed." Marin picked it up, spinning it between her fingers. See? Legit. I stood. I need online access set up today. Already done, the banker said. You'll both receive credentials. Marin wrapped an arm around my shoulders as we walked out. Look at us, she said. Businesswomen. Her grip was a little too tight. That night, I logged into the account from my laptop. The balance read $120,000 and 0 cents. All of it had come from one source, wired in 2 days earlier. The sender name was an LLC I didn't recognize. I opened a spreadsheet and started logging. Date. Amount. Source. Notes. I set up alerts, every transaction, every login, every transfer attempt. I set daily spending limits. I activated the dual authorization threshold. Then I waited. Marin didn't. The next morning, a notification pinged on my phone while I was brushing my teeth. Pending debit. $4,800. MGMGrandLasVegas.com. I stared at the notification. Toothbrush paused midair. Another one followed. Pending debit, $2,150. Wynn Las Vegas. Then another. Pending debit, $9,600. Cash advance. I rinsed my mouth slowly, dried my hands, and opened the app. The transactions were real. They'd gone through under the daily limit. Perfectly legal. Perfectly within the controls she'd agreed to without reading. I didn't call her. At work, I closed my office door and pulled up the account on my desktop. I watched the transaction list update in near real time. Restaurants, bars, hotel charges. A jewelry store I recognized from the Strip. By noon, nearly $30,000 was gone. At 12:43 p.m., my phone buzzed. Marin, don't freak out. I'm investing in relationships. This trip is a write-off. I didn't respond. At 1:10 p.m., another notification. Debit, $15,000 poker room. That one triggered the dual authorization. My phone rang immediately. What the hell? Marin said without greeting. Why is it asking for your approval? Because we set it up that way. You're blocking my money. Our money, I corrected. And no, I'm not approving that. You said you trusted me. I said I wanted controls. She scoffed. This is embarrassing. I'm with people. Then don't try to move $15,000 from a joint account without notice. Silence, then laughter. Not amused. Sharp. You think you're smarter than me because you read the fine print. I think I'm responsible for my name, I said. She lowered her voice. You're going to make me look stupid. You're doing that yourself. The line went dead. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and a legal pad beside it. I wasn't angry. I was methodical. I downloaded statements. I saved transaction logs. I took screenshots of the pending approvals. I wrote timestamps next to everything. I didn't confront her. Instead, I looked up the LLC that had wired the initial funds. It took 3 minutes to find the registration. One owner, a woman named Diane. Scottsdale address, and no website. No employees listed. I searched Marin's messages for the name. Nothing. I searched her social media comments. Buried under a photo from 2 weeks earlier, a comment, "So proud of you for taking the leap." DI clicked the profile. Private. One mutual connection. A realtor Marin had mentioned casually at dinner. I sent a polite message request. Hi, Diane. This is Jess. I'm Marin's sister and business partner. I'd love to connect. I didn't mention the account. I didn't mention Vegas. The next day, the spending slowed. Either Marin had cooled off or she'd realized the controls mattered. Then, on Friday afternoon, while I was in a meeting reviewing quarterly forecasts, my phone vibrated against the table. One notification, then another, then 5 more. I excused myself, stepped into the hallway, and opened the app. Balance, $21,432.17. My chest stayed steady. My hands didn't shake. I opened the transaction list. Over the past 48 hours, Marin had found a way around the controls. Smaller transfers, multiple withdrawals. Cash advances staggered just under the alert threshold. She'd drained nearly $100,000. My phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. A text followed immediately. Maren, I messed up. I need you to send more. I stared at the words until the screen dimmed. Then I played the voicemail. Her voice was breathless, pitched higher than usual. Jess, okay, listen. I had a bad run. It happens. But it's fine. I just need to cover something before Monday. Please don't tell Mom. I'll fix it. Bad run. I sat down at my desk and opened a new folder. Receipts. Vegas, I pulled everything in. Statements. Alerts. Screenshots. Voicemail saved as an audio file with date and time. Then I did something Maren didn't expect. I approved nothing. I sent nothing. I replied with one sentence. We need to talk in person. When you're back. She responded instantly. I don't have time for this. Just help me. I didn't answer. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. A new message. Not from Maren. Diane. Hi, Jess. Nice to meet you. Is everything okay? I stared at the screen, then typed carefully. I think we should talk. There are some discrepancies in the account activity. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. What discrepancies? I didn't explain. I asked a question instead. How familiar are you with how the funds have been used this week? There was a long pause. When Diane finally replied, the tone had shifted. Can you send me the statements? I attached nothing yet. Let's schedule a call, I wrote. There's context that's easier to explain live. She agreed. We spoke that night. Diane's voice was calm but tight. She hadn't approved Vegas. She hadn't approved gambling. She thought the money was sitting untouched while Maren lined up properties. I didn't accuse. I didn't editorialize. I shared my screen and walked her through dates, amounts, merchants. When I finished, there was silence on the line. That's not what she told me, Diane said finally. I assumed, I replied. After we hung up, I sat in the dark for a while, the only light coming from my laptop screen. I could have confronted Maren then. I could have exposed everything immediately. I could have sent the statements to my mother, to the aunt who'd laughed, to anyone who'd ever called me careful like it was a flaw. I didn't. Instead, I waited. Because in the middle of reviewing the transactions one last time, I noticed something I'd missed before. A transfer labeled as a vendor payment, sent 3 weeks earlier before the Vegas trip. It was small compared to the rest, just $8,750. The recipient name wasn't a casino or a hotel. It was a personal account, Maren's boyfriend's. I clicked into it, heart steady, and opened the metadata. The note field read, Loan repayment. Thanks for covering earlier. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes. This wasn't a mistake. This was a pattern. And now I had the receipt that proved it. Maren came back from Las Vegas on a Sunday night. She didn't tell me she'd landed. I knew because the account sent me a login alert from our hometown IP address at 9:12 p.m. I didn't block access. I didn't freeze the account. I let it sit exactly as it was, exposed, documented, waiting. She called me the next morning like we were resuming a conversation that had been politely paused. I'm coming by, she said. We'll talk. I'm at work, I replied. We can meet later. She laughed. Jess, this isn't a calendar invite. I'll be home at 6. She showed up at 6:30 with iced coffees and an apology already rehearsed. Her tone was light, like she was walking into a mild misunderstanding, not a financial collapse. She sat on my couch, crossed her legs, and handed me the coffee like a peace offering. Okay, she said. Before you start, I didn't move. Go ahead. She took a breath. Vegas was not what I expected. Things escalated. But you know me. I always land on my feet. I waited. She kept going. I had a bad streak. It happens. 8 years. But I've got momentum now. I just need time. Time for what? I asked. For the turnaround, she said quickly. I've got a meeting next week. Big. Investor level. I nodded once. Which investor? She waved a hand. I'll loop you in later. I already spoke to Diane. Her smile slipped for half a second. Just enough. You? Talk to her? Maren said. Yes. What did you tell her? Facts. She leaned forward. You had no right. I have every right, I said calmly. My name is on the account. Her voice sharpened. You went behind my back. I responded to a concerned investor asking questions. She wasn't supposed to talk to you directly. That's not how joint accounts work. Maren stood, pacing now, agitation replacing charm. You always do this. You undermine me, then act innocent. I documented transactions, I replied. That's not undermining. She stopped pacing and faced me. So what, you're going to ruin this? For both of us, I'm going to protect myself. She laughed, but it sounded hollow. From what? Your own sister? I didn't answer. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Jess, listen to me. This is family. We handle things privately. I agree, I said, which is why I haven't said anything publicly. Her eyes narrowed. Yet, I held her gaze. Yet, she changed tactics. She sat back down, shoulders slumping, voice softening. I was under pressure. Everyone expects me to succeed. You don't understand what that's like. I understand expectations, I said. I manage them for a living. She scoffed. You manage spreadsheets. I manage people. People's money, I corrected. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then flipped it face down. I'll pay it back, she said. I just need you to float the account for now. No, I replied. So many. She stared at me. No. The word landed quietly between us. You can't just say no, she snapped. You're already involved. I can say no to sending more. She stood again, anger finally breaking through. Do you know how this makes me look? I looked up at her. Yes. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Mom is going to lose it, she said. Everyone is. I'm aware. You're really going to do this. I'm not doing anything, I said. I'm not adding money. I'm not approving transfers. I'm not lying. She laughed bitterly. You think you're so calm, so righteous. I'm just consistent. She grabbed her bag. This isn't over. I know, I said. She left without finishing her coffee. The next day my mother called. I let it ring twice before answering. What did you do? She demanded. I didn't send money, I said. She's devastated, my mother said. She says you're abandoning her. I'm holding boundaries. She made a mistake. She made several. There was a pause. She's your sister. Yes. And you're just going to let her fail? I chose my words carefully. I'm not preventing success. I'm refusing to enable harm. My mother's voice dropped. You've always been jealous of her. That one didn't sting. It clarified. I'll talk to you later, I said, and ended the call. Maren didn't slow down after that. She sped up. She started posting again. Inspirational quotes, airport selfies, vague captions about resilience and bouncing back stronger. She also got sloppy. She emailed Diane and copied me, accidentally or intentionally. Hard to tell. The message was full of promises and future projections. No acknowledgement of missing funds. Diane replied, copying me back, asking for reconciliation of expenses. Maren didn't answer. Instead, she planned an event. A business launch celebration, she called it. An investor mixer at a rented event space downtown, catered. Topographer, step and repeat backdrop with her brand name printed across it. She sent me the invitation like a peace offering. You should come. It'll look weird if you don't, I replied an hour later. I'll be there. That was the moment she relaxed. I could tell because she sent a heart emoji, because she stopped calling, because she assumed my silence meant surrender. She didn't know I'd already spoken to the venue manager, confirming the guest list included investors. She didn't know Diane would be there. She didn't know I'd forwarded the statements to my attorney friend. Not for action, just for clarity. Don't interrupt, my friend had said. Let it play out. So I did. The week before the event, Maren tried once more. She texted me late at night. Please don't embarrass me, I replied. I won't lie. She didn't answer. The night of the event, the room was full. Soft lighting. Music low enough for conversation. Marin moved through the crowd like a host on instinct, laughing, posing, performing competence. She hugged me when she saw me. You came. I said I would. She leaned in. Thank you. I nodded. Diane arrived 10 minutes later. She spotted me first. We didn't speak yet. Marin took the small stage near the bar, tapping the microphone. Thank you all for coming, she said. This means everything to me. Applause followed. Cameras flashed. I stood near the back, hands folded, watching. 8 years. Marin launched into her speech. Vision, growth, transparency. Words she used easily. Then she smiled wider. And I want to thank my sister, she said, gesturing toward me. The numbers brain behind the scenes. None of this would be possible without her. All eyes turned. I met Diane's gaze across the room. She nodded once. That was my cue. I stepped forward calmly as Marin finished her sentence and reached for me, arm extended, inviting me onto the stage. I took it. She handed me the microphone, smiling for the cameras. Say something, she whispered. Please. I looked out at the room. Investors, acquaintances, people who'd trusted the image. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't smile. I said, before I do, I need to clarify something. Marin's grip tightened on my arm. The room went quiet. And for the first time since this started, I didn't delay. The microphone felt lighter than it should have. That was the first thing I noticed. Not the silence, not the faces turned toward me, not even Marin's hand tightening around my arm like she could steer me back into the script if she squeezed hard enough. Just the weight of the microphone. Plastic. Cheap. Replaceable. Clarify what? Marin said, laughing softly into her own mic. Jess is just being thorough, as always. A few people smiled. Someone near the bar chuckled. I adjusted the microphone stand so it was level. I didn't pull my arm away yet. I'm listed as a joint account holder, I said evenly. That means I receive alerts for all activity. I think it's important the investors here understand how the funds have actually been used. Marin's smile froze. This isn't the place, she said quietly through her teeth. I nodded once. You made it the place when you thanked me publicly. I turned slightly, enough to face the room instead of her. On November 18th, I continued. The account received a wire transfer of $120,000 from Diane's LLC. Diane didn't flinch. She'd already heard this part. Between November 21st and December 2nd, $98,567 was withdrawn. The room shifted. Glasses stopped clinking. The photographer lowered his camera. Marin leaned into her mic. This is being taken out of context. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't interrupt. I simply lifted my phone and connected it to the venue's screen, something I'd confirmed was possible earlier that day. The transaction log filled the display behind us. Dates, errors, merchant names, amounts, Vegas, casinos, cash advances, a jewelry store, a transfer labeled loan repayment. I'm not offering commentary, I said. These are bank records. Someone in the front row inhaled sharply. Marin stepped closer to me, her voice tight. Turn that off. I looked at her, calm. I will, in a moment. I scrolled once. This transfer, I said, pointing, was sent before the Vegas trip. To a personal account, not a vendor. A few heads turned toward Marin. Diane spoke then, voice steady but cold. That wasn't disclosed to me. Marin spun toward her. Diane, this is... Diane stood. You told me the funds hadn't been touched. Marin's mouth opened, then closed. I let the silence do its work. I didn't want this to be public, I said. I asked for a private conversation. I asked for transparency. I didn't receive either. Marin laughed suddenly, too loud. So this is it? You're doing this to humiliate me? I shook my head. No, I'm stepping away. I reached into my bag and placed a folder on the small table near the stage. Inside are printed statements, timestamps, and the voicemail requesting additional funds after the account was drained. I've already resigned as a partner, effective immediately. My attorney has copies. That got a reaction. Phones came out. Whispers spread. The photographer slowly backed away. Marin's face changed then. Not anger, not embarrassment, fear. You can't just walk away, she said, voice breaking. You're involved. I was, I replied. I'm not anymore. I unplugged my phone from the screen. The transaction log vanished, replaced by the event's branded backdrop. The damage didn't. Diane walked toward the table, picked up the folder and flipped it open. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. 2 other investors followed her lead. Yes. Marin looked around, searching for an ally. She found none. My mother wasn't there. That was intentional. I'd asked the venue manager not to admit family without invitations. I stepped off the stage. No one stopped me. Behind me, voices overlapped, questions, disbelief, anger. Marin tried to speak again, but her voice was swallowed by the room. I walked out into the night air, cool and clean, and stood on the sidewalk for a moment, letting my breathing settle. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. The consequences unfolded without my involvement. Diane froze the remaining funds. She contacted the bank directly. She contacted her lawyer. The other investors followed. The event ended early. Within a week, Marin's posts disappeared. Her account went private. The brand website went dark. My mother called me 3 days later. She's staying with me, she said. She's not okay. I'm sorry, I replied. And I was. I won't discuss the account. You didn't have to do it like that, my mother said. I did, I answered. Because doing it quietly didn't work. She didn't respond. Marin didn't call. She sent one text, late at night. You ruined everything. I read it once, then archived the thread. At work, nothing changed. My name stayed clean. My focus stayed sharp. The attorney confirmed my exit was documented and complete. I closed the folder on my laptop and moved it to an external drive, then locked it in a drawer. I didn't need to look at it again. A month later, I updated my banking settings. No joint accounts. Ever seen. No exceptions. I stopped attending family dinners. I started sleeping better. The satisfaction wasn't loud. It didn't look like celebration. It looked like boundaries holding their shape. And for the first time in a long time, silence felt earned.